None of that appears on the certification of live birth. And you still have people like Chris Matthews holding up a piece of paper and say, here's his birth certificate. Hey, Chris, no one's seen his birth certificate. Oh, you got it there? I've seen that one. I've actually seen the first copy of that. There's some doubts about that, okay? But it really, like I said, doesn't matter, because the significant part is Indonesia. He's adopted or acknowledged in Indonesia. His name is Barry Soetoro. Now, yes, you can use an alias, but not for fraudulent purposes. And that's what Obama is doing. By using the name Barack Hussein Obama, that's fraud. When he signed to run in each of the 50 states and territories by the name of Barack Hussein Obama, that's fraud, because his name is Barry Soetoro. Unless he has gone to court and legally changed his name, and we've seen no evidence of that. Like I say, you can use an alias, but not for fraudulent purposes, and that's what he's doing. We believe, after a couple years of investigation, that when his mother sent him back to live with her parents when he was 10 years of age, that he went back on his Indonesia passport. And that's why at age 20, when he traveled to Pakistan, but before he went to Pakistan, he went to Indonesia, we think he went there to renew his passport. Before they sealed all the records, someone had sent in for Freedom of Information, and they sent me a copy, asking for a copy of his passport records on Obama. Excuse me, it came back that there was no record. I believe that he never had a U.S. passport until he became a U.S. senator, and therefore then he took a diplomatic passport as senator and as president. Or he has phonied up some other documents. Remember, he has sealed all of his documents. You don't seal documents unless you're hiding something. I think I was the first person to come out dealing with the subject of school records. I believe that he wouldn't allow his school records to be shown because I believe that they will show that he applied for and received foreign aid, either indicating from Kenya or from Indonesia. You know, why else? What are you hiding? What are you sealing? Columbia University, no one even remembers him being in any class. I mean, there's so much missing information. Now, we're all aware of who his associations have been with Reverend Wright and other people. Do you know that the people that Obama associated with, he could not get a job as a Chicago police officer, let alone an FBI agent or Secret Service agent, because of his prior associations? I mean, I don't know what the press thinks they're doing in this country, but they're hurting us. And I think what's happened is the press in this country is now controlled by 3 or 4 corporations. And the leaders of those, the money people behind them, George Soros and other people, Murdoch, I think the word is, you can talk about anything, but don't talk about his birth certificate. And I think that's significant. Like Glenn Beck, I can't figure him out at all. 90% of Obama is wrong. Everything Obama does is wrong. And he spoke out here a month ago. But he won't touch the birth certificate. And I believe it's pressure from Murdoch going down. Talk about everything, but don't talk about the birth certificate. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. And Glenn Beck, he even honored me. I was on his blackboard for 3 days, you know, so I think I'm a troublemaker, he said, or something like that. But if I'm a troublemaker, we're a peaceful troublemaker, because we're going to work together to unseat this person. We're in a constitutional crisis, okay? Now, who would become president? You know what? I don't even know. I mean, think about it. I think the swearing in was perhaps done wrong intentionally, because I think the Chief Justice knows, and then the second swearing in, I think they did that without a Bible. So I think there's a lot of questions about the swearing in of Obama. But do we go back to January 8th, 2009, the joint session of Congress, when we remove Obama? Because Congress violated their duty and responsibility at that time. Their duty and responsibility, if one member of Congress, one member of the House, and one member of the Senate had written in to question electoral vote from any state, they would have had to divide, they would have had to go back to the separate chambers of the House and Senate and resolve the issue. And if they couldn't resolve the issue, under the Constitution, they have the right to nominate a president, nominate a vice president, the House and Senate different. They didn't do that. I believe Congress has all the members of Congress have either committed or about to commit or right on the edge of treason. because they are violating their duty and responsibility. When they're sworn into law, from the Chief Justice, all the judges, the members of the House, the members of the Senate, they swear to uphold the Constitution. Where are they? They're not doing it. It's an absolute disgrace. During his last 6 months in office, I laughed. George Bush questioned Putin with the free press in Russia. I question the free press in this country. I think it's a disgrace. If any media is there, I was interviewed about a year ago by the New York Times, and I mentioned that to him. I said, I wish I could sue the national media here, including the New York Times, for what they haven't done in this case. They even printed that. I give them credit for printing that, even including the New York Times. But they haven't done anything. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. If 2020 or Nightline or Dateline or the New York Times front page top fold, Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, Los Angeles papers, if any of those papers would cover the story, or if any of these TV shows would do it, Obama would be out of office in a week. But they're a disgrace. They're a disgrace. So what we have to do is we have to keep spreading our message across this great nation and perhaps have smaller rallies all around this country. We have to get the word about. I don't think enough people in this country know about this, because the document that he has put forth, the certification of live birth, do you know you cannot even register your child for Little League with that document, let alone get a U.S. passport? You must have a long-form birth certificate. I mean, just wake up. If the American public, it's a shame. If the public really knew that situation, I think they would demand, I think we could force him out of office. And I'm going to keep the fight going with all of you on that basis, because what is going on is outrageous. I think Michelle Obama, remember she took 40 of her closest friends to Spain, I think, for her daughter's birthday. I think she did that because I think she knows her time is short in the White House, and not for any bad reasons, other than the fact that the truth will come out. I don't want anything to happen to Obama, other than the truth be told, and him finally to wake up and acknowledge this country that he's a fraud. But I don't think he cares. He could care less. He's more interested in basketball and other things. A lot of people think she's lost it. I don't know if he ever had it. He's a great speaker, not like this. He's a great speaker with the teleprompters. With no teleprompter, he's a different person. I left my notes home. This is all coming from my head. But we have a real problem in this country, and we have to deal with it now. Now, I mentioned the joint session of Congress, so I don't think Congress would have any input on this. Then, do we go back to December 15th, 2008, when in each of the state capitals electors met? Because they had a responsibility. And what was their responsibility? Their responsibility was to vote for a constitutional eligible person who had the most votes in their state. They violated that duty because he's not constitutionally eligible, which comes to an interesting point. After the Democratic National Convention, Nancy Pelosi had to certify Obama to each of the 50 states and territories. She sent one certification to Hawaii saying he was constitutionally eligible, but she took those words out in all the other states. She knows what's going on, and I think therefore she's violated her duty. Perhaps we should have her tried and convicted too, because she's part of this scheme against us citizens. We just want the truth. We deserve the truth. So I don't know if the electors would do anything, so therefore I think we go back to November 8, 2008. And the voters at that time could only vote for someone who's constitutionally eligible. So do we go to McCain, or I think really it calls for a new election in this country as soon as possible, and someone as a holdover. People say, well, you know, if you get Obama removed from office, there's going to be riots in the streets, Berg, and you're going to be responsible. No, when we remove Obama from office, I will have a news conference with all the religious leaders in this country and the political leaders in this country and say, what are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? You're going to go riot in the streets and injure and kill people and destroy property for what? For what one person has done? One person.